Welcome to Dodgers Dawgs. I'm Casey Porter, joined by Chase Witwiska, as I am each and every week. Chase, welcome in. We have a busy show tonight. We're going to talk about two recent acquisitions, Alex Reyes and David Peralta, that the Dodgers just made.
Yeah, I mean, you're bringing in another guy, seasoned veteran that's been with Arizona I believe it was 2014. He was with Arizona up until last year when he played with Tampa. And then this year, obviously he's with the Dodgers. But he had a Silver Slugger Award 2018, and then 2019 he had a Gold Glove, both with Arizona. So he's coming. That really wasn't too long ago. He's coming off playing good baseball with the Reyes last year. Hit 255, 161 at bats. He didn't have any home runs, which I thought was kind of interesting, especially being a Silver Slugger guy not too long ago. But man, he's just a guy that kind of gets the job done, really. And I think that, in terms of what they do with James Outman, Michael Busch, guys like that, I think that he could be another mentor piece for him. Yep. But I also think that, I think everybody's going to get a chance to play. I really do. I'm not sure exactly what role they're expecting him to fill right now. I'm sure we'll know more here in a couple of weeks when spring training starts. But man, I'm just excited for it.
Yep. You did a fantastic job there. Of course, I listened to the whole thing, and the whole thing that you said there was excellent, but it gave me a chance to get everything fixed. So, Austin, I appreciate you joining for one. I appreciate you giving me the information that there's no longer any reverb. Sal, thanks for joining tonight. I appreciate you joining every single time. I know you joined for also our Dodgers Prospects podcast, and we had a good conversation the other day about some of these similar topics. But, you mentioned David Peralta and some of the metrics on him. This is an interesting move for me because this is not an elite player, okay? And if you've watched Michael Busch, he has the chance to have, in my opinion, an elite hit tool. So, it's interesting that the Dodgers would choose to, jeopardize playing time for such a young player like Michael Busch that has such a high upside offensively for a guy like David Peralta. Now, if you can go get just a superstar type outfielder, you can't pass him up, like the Dodgers have done with Mookie Betts and then Trey Turner, Max Scherzer, Freddie Freeman. If that kind of guy comes available, you have to take him. But it's interesting to me that the Dodgers would choose to go up, because here's the deal, and I talked about this with Tim Rogers the other day of Dodgers 2080. Go ahead and check his stuff out. He has fantastic prospects coverage alongside of Dodgers Daily. Check out the Dodgers Prospects podcast, as well as Austin and Michael both tell you. We talked about this, but the thing about the situation with Peralta is it's not like the Bradley Zimmer and the Jason Hayward acquisitions, Chase, in the sense that Jason Hayward, Bradley Zimmer were signed to minor league contracts. They're resurrection projects. They're not relying on those two guys to actually be a part of it this year. Now, if Jason Hayward finds a swing or Bradley Zimmer becomes a good great. Okay, sure. That's added, great situation, but they went and got David Peralta for $6.6 million. That tells me that they plan on starting him at least in a platoon situation, and that squarely puts a real difficult, puts the Dodgers in a really difficult position in terms of getting Michael Busch at bats.
Yeah,
if you can tell
absolutely.
That. I don't want to sound negative towards anything, but it's kind of frustrating to me in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, with us being a fan of young guys, especially, I understand where you're coming from. I think that. I'll play devil's advocate here and kind of say, that, maybe they see things in a different perspective, obviously, than we do. Being inside in the front office, man. And they're right way more than they're wrong. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to say that. Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, they know what they're doing, and right now it's hard from the outside looking in to understand exactly what their goal is and what they're trying to accomplish. Especially, you're taking reps away from young guys that are potentially going to be, your everyday starters here in a couple of years. Mm-hmm. But they know what they're doing. Maybe they see something in the swing. Maybe they see something in the field that they can, tweak and adjust. And maybe he turns into what he was in 2018, 2019, just a Gold Glove guy and then a Silver Slugger award too. Maybe they see some way to resurrect that. I'm not sure. Trying to think positive more than anything else.
Yeah, no, and this isn't anything against David Peralta. He's a lifetime 281 career regular season hitter, which is fantastic. I mean, you would take that any day of the week. He has a lot of major league experience. His major league OPS is 796, but he's only been in the postseason 2 different times. 211 postseason averages. OPS in the postseason is 461. That's in 19 at-bats over 2 seasons. Probably considered an average defender, so when you look at all that put together, it squarely tells me, and the only thing it tells me is that the Dodgers front office would definitely prefer veterans over rookies. And, they've had track record success with that, with Max Muncy, Chris Taylor, several different pitchers, Trace Thompson last year, so all the different pitchers they've had success with. Definitely, I can see where they're coming from that perspective of, and we also discussed this the other night. I don't think this is an indictment on Michael Busch or James Outman, because it could take time away from James Outman as well. I don't think it's an indictment on them, because when you look, when they went and they get Noah Syndergaard, they get veteran pitchers. Last year they got Anderson and Heaney. It's more that it's not that they don't like Ryan Pepio, Bobby Miller, Gavin Stone, Michael Grove, and Andre Jackson. It's just that they do like veterans. So I don't think this is an indictment on any one rookie. I think this is just the Dodgers choosing veteran over rookie.
Right. And I get that. It's hard to pass up some. It's hard to pass up experience. A guy that's been on the stage before, a guy that's had experience against major league pitching and things like that. It's a little less of a roll of the dice, if you will. Just with that experience being a part of that player, it may seem as like a safer route, if you will. Mm-hmm. But Sal said that he understands that the organization may be a little scared of having a number of prospects come up and play, and I would like to see all the guys come up to get experience and consistency. Just kind of piggybacking off what we said. And then Austin said, definitely feel the frustration being a fan of the young guys. Peralta adds known depth, which they certainly valued. That with
I'm not saying it's a bad move. I'm not saying it's a bad move.
That's not a restoration project and young hitters. So
it just seems like every move they make, it just eliminates more and more options to get the young players in the lineup. And here's my point on that. You have the best scouting system on earth. You have the best developmental system on earth. So you scout and you sign the best players, then you train better than anybody. You train the best players better than anybody else in the world. And then when they get up there ready to play, you don't use them.
Right.
That you go and get somebody else's player that's a veteran. That just seems counterintuitive to me to an extent. And I understand from a fan base that, hey, we want to win a World Series every single year. And so, a guy that's had a career like David Peralta sounds better and like a more sure chance than a James Outman and or Michael Busch. But I'm just way different on that, because I've been in the game my whole life, and a dog is a dog, man. Bad dogs bite when they're pups. And the jumping from minor leagues to the major leagues thing, that doesn't bother me in terms of relying on that nearly as much as it does other people. And I think if you would look at statistics and the way statistical measures play out, I think you would find that there's not as big of a difference between say a guy when he's younger than a guy when he's older.
Yeah, no, I get that 100%. And I was kind of always coming from a coach's perspective. I would play. If my old guy and my young guy are at the same level, I would play my young guy. Young guy
there's two different philosophies on that. Yeah,
and I know some people may think that's an unpopular opinion. I get the seniority and stuff like that. But do you want to invest in a guy, let's say, I'll use high school for an example. Do you want to invest in a sophomore that has the same level of play as a senior?
Yeah, I see. I'm opposite. If my senior has been with me and he's done everything I've asked him, and he's been the model citizen, and there's nothing else he could do to improve his stature, the senior plays every time because he has more invested and devoted into the program. I think I would show loyalty to that person over the younger guy. But having said that, I mean that would be like you having a younger guy that's a pretty good player and then going and recruiting another player from another high school and then throwing him. We see that all the time. But hey, we have a question from Sal. Is Thompson going to have the same year as last year? The odds would be not, just for the simple fact that some of the peripheral statistics wouldn't favor that, for one, and number two, just the track record of it would say that maybe he outperformed just a touch as far as he got hot and that kind of thing. So I wouldn't think that Trace Thompson would have, maybe he found something and maybe he'll have a better year next year. Who knows? But I would say, would you agree that the odds probably would not suggest that, Chase? Am I off there? What do you guys think in the audience?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that I think you really hit the nail on the head, man. I don't really have much to say, on that topic. That's a hard question to answer, in my opinion. I hope he does great, as always. But man, back to the Peralta thing. I'm really curious to see how they use him and see, what role, especially in these first few weeks of spring training, what role he's in, where he's at in the lineup, where he's at in the field. And are we going to see James Outman in center now? Are we going to see Michael? What's going to happen?
I don't think there's any way you're going to see Michael Bush right off the bat. I mean, you're going to see Miguel Vargas at second, Max Muncy at third, Lux at short. You're going to see Peralta in left, at least in a platoon. You don't go out and sign a guy for 6.6 to be depth. I don't think. I mean, I know Rojas is at $5 million, and I think but Rojas is more of the, hey, he might be depth, but then he might end up being a starter every day at any one of the defensive infield positions. So I just don't think for 6.6 at this point. Of course, the Dodgers, once the Bauer decision came down, the Dodgers were never going to stay under the luxury tax. I mean, Noah Syndergaard has $1.5 million in incentives, and if he pitches good, which the Dodgers are going to need him to do, then you're already over right there. So once the Bauer decision came down, the Dodgers were not going to stay under the luxury tax. So you go and you get a Peralta guy. I don't see any way that you don't go and get him to be if not an everyday starter, certainly a platoon guy. And I think, at least until June or maybe later than that, I think that eliminates Michael Bush. I think Michael Bush is the odd man out here. I think James Outman, Miguel Vargas, and then the rookie pitchers, they're all going to have a chance to stake their claim. By the way, I got a chance to talk to Ryan Pepio and Michael Grove today. Those interviews will be released this week, and talk to them about their possibilities for roles this year. So I think all the rookies are going to have a chance to stake their claim, except for Michael Bush. Bush is going to have to be patient. I don't have any inside information on that. That's just my opinion. But I think everybody else, the cards are in their hands. Michael Bush, I think it's out of his hands, and he's going to have to wait a little bit.
Man, which absolutely sucks because I'm a big fan of him.
Yeah, he can hit.
I love the way that he plays. I love his mentality. I like the way he handles himself and goes about playing the game. And it sucks that, that this situation is like you said, it's out of his control at this point. And I hope they find some kind of way or
looks like it, yeah.
So, just to get him there, just to give him a chance on the big stage, which I think that if he does get that chance, I think you're going to see him be successful. Same thing with all these young guys.
Yep, very good point that Valerie makes. I think it's about Dave Roberts' ability to handle the rookies. He plays guys he's comfortable with, and there's no doubt about it. That was one of the arguments for getting rid of Justin Turner, because a lot of people felt like, and that's a very, 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 very valid point, if the Dodgers would have kept Justin Turner, guess what they were going to do with Justin Turner? They were going to put him at third base, and they were going to play him, and then Miguel Vargas doesn't doesn't get the playing time that he needs. So that was one of the biggest arguments I heard from people that, didn't want to keep Justin Turner, was that if he's around, because Roberts feels so comfortable with playing his guys, and, that's not necessarily a negative thing to say. I mean, I think you could say that about most managers. They like to play the guys they're comfortable with, and that's a compliment to the guys they feel comfortable with. Okay, so even if they're stinking it up, the joint, Bellinger, Muncy, JT, and Taylor absolutely looking bad at bats. So that's a good point that Doc does like to play his players that he's comfortable with, and rightfully so. So
yeah, no, absolutely. And my mind is just kind of wondering right now, like, I don't know what the whole situation was with Brian Reynolds or anything like that, but I'm curious as to if you're going to spend $6.6 million on a guy, why don't you go for somebody that's
trade package? They're not wanting to give up Bobby Miller, but they're not wanting to give up Bobby Miller.
Right, I get it.
They're going to want a position player, a top position player, and Bobby Miller. They're going to want a DeLuca and a Miller. They're going to want somebody like that, a Pages and a Miller. I don't think the Dodgers are ready to go there. Not yet. I mean, here's the deal with that, Chase. You have until July 31st to make your trades. Right. So why not let Outman or the other center fielders see if they can handle it? And if they can, you don't have to trade for anybody, right? So let the runway play out. With the expanded playoffs, you only have to win 85 games. Let that play out. And if nobody's taking the bull by the horns and you want to get aggressive and at the trade deadline, hey, go ahead and give up whoever you need to give up to get a Brian Reynolds. But I don't think the Dodgers are anywhere close to being that desperate. So James Outman started AAA for the first 2 months for consistent at bats. What do you think, Chase? That's from Orlando.
Personally, I would love to see him play back in Oklahoma City. But at the same time, I want him to get his chance. I want to see him on the big stage. Selfishly, I would like to see him in Oklahoma City, just because that's I'm not going to get to go to LA. So, but yeah, man, I don't know. I really don't. I think spring training is going to answer a ton of questions that all Dodgers fans have. So I think this spring training is probably going to be one of the most interesting and most entertaining, and most fun to keep up with. Because you have those rookies coming up, and then you also have situations like Peralta. Which I wonder if they could eventually use him as a trade piece to get Brian Reynolds. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yep. Okay, so Valerie says Thompson's ceiling is what he was last year. He didn't grow through the season. He got worse as the season wore on. Yasiel Puig's service time manipulation makes sense for Michael Busch. So you can continue to have, whenever you do start playing Michael Busch every day here in a year, maybe two, then that gives you more team control for more years. That's a great point that Yasiel Puig is making. I'm sure it's not the Yasiel Puig that we're thinking about that was in the right field for the Dodgers. I got to see him in Oklahoma City a couple times. So good point there, Yasiel Puig. Sal says, how short of a leash will Peralta, Thompson, and CT3 have now to perform on the field and in the batter's box? 4 to 6 months. My statement on that is, when you hear professionals talk about their season, talk to me in June, because that's when things really start heating up. It's not, I'll say this, I don't know how you can say how long it's going to be. I think it's going to be at least until June. You can't tell anything in the game. Now, maybe if you lose every game in April, but I think it's going to be at least until June. And, as far as whatever rotations they go with, I think they're going to go with them at least through June, and we'll see from there.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I feel like the leashes on the older guys are going to be a lot longer than the leashes that are going to be on the rookies. In my personal opinion, that's
counterintuitive to me, because if you have a short leash on a rookie, they're going to press.
Exactly. No, I'm with you 100% on that. I'm just saying. If you look at, I keep using this guy as an example, but if you look at how I'm blanking now. He hit a buck something. Was it Muncy?
Muncie last year for a while. Yeah. I mean, for the first 4 months. Yeah.
Right. If you look at Muncie, you know, they I don't really feel like they had any intention of reducing his playing time or
no.
You know, and
track record, brother.
Because he's a veteran, you know, and if you know, if James Outman goes out there and hits a buck something all the way through June or July, I mean, you're going to see him back in Oklahoma City 100%. Same thing with Miguel Vargas or any of those other guys. I think the leashes are going to be a lot longer, which, again, it sucks. It sucks for the young guys.
Yeah. Okay. Yasiel Puig, Outman reminds me of a 2015 Jock Peterson, and what that would mean is he gets a lot of home runs, he swings and misses and strikes out a lot, and he plays really good defense. That would be the Jock Peterson comparison. I will tell you this, James Outman has made himself one of the best athletes in the entire organization through being a gym rat. Jock Peterson, in my opinion, you know, he didn't stay at his peak because, well, for several different reasons, but one is I think his approach at the plate was to hit home runs. James Outman, I've talked to him on several different occasions. He is not up there to hit home runs only. I talked to him for about 5 to 10 minutes right before he got sent up to AAA, and the first thing he said was, hey, you know, the thing that I'm really trying to concentrate on, you know, is to keep the downs at a minimum, you know, because with a guy like James Outman, the ups are really, really good. We've seen that in LA, okay, but so can be the downs. So his goal is to try to stay a little bit more consistent. So I think, although, you know, maybe from a physical perspective at this point, and maybe from a certain statistical measure at this point in their careers, that they may look similar, but I do think that James Outman has a longer lasting effect to it, because I'm just telling you, nobody's going to outwork that guy in the gym. Nobody's going to outwork that guy in terms of style. And I'll tell you another thing, James Outman is willing and open to just being a guy that hits the ball hard, and it doesn't have to be home runs.
Right. And, man, those are the guys, contrary to popular belief nowadays, those are the guys that I like a little bit more. You know, guys that just hit the ball hard, do jobs. I don't need to see 65 home runs. I mean, that's great and all, but you know, I've said it time and again, I like to see hard hit baseballs, balls in the gap. You know, just I mean, letting them play. Yep,
no doubt about it. Okay, we about ready for our feature cut here, Chase?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm getting the can you see it yet, Chase?
No, I can't. I see your logo.
I'm working on that right now. So go ahead and give me about 30 seconds to get this fixed.
Yeah, no problem.
Go ahead and talk a little bit more about James Outman, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head when you talked about how good of an athlete he was, how hard of a worker he is. You know, just a special talent, a special guy, a guy that you would want to play for you every day, no matter what organization you're in. Man, I think highly of him. I think the Dodgers organization thinks highly of him. And I hope they see that.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
All right, here we go with our player prospect feature on Andy Pajes. So let's get after it. All right, so here we're starting, and I'm going to pull up my notes. You're looking at Jay Buhner here, and he's the guy that I compare him to. You know, if you look mechanically, they're almost identical, and also statistically, Buhner and their K percentages are almost identical. Their base on ball percentages are almost identical, and their batting average and balls and plays are almost identical as well. So their home run rates are pretty similar. So the guy I compare Andy Pajes to is Jay Buhner. So what do you think about that comparison?
I think it's spot on, man. I really like the swing. If you look at that picture, you know, the lean, the posture, the approach to the baseball, it's really, really similar.
Yep, and he has a lot of tilt to his swing. He gets a lot of balls in the air. Okay, so not last year, but in 2021, he led the Dodgers minor leagues with 31 home runs. This last year was a down year for him, not going to sugarcoat it. 236, 336, 468 was a slash line. OPS was 804, but the silver lining to that, Chase, Arizona Fall League, he went to the Arizona Fall League, and he hit 296, 398, 506. So he had a good Arizona Fall League. His OPS was 904, and he hit 5 home runs. So he had a good Arizona Fall League.
Yeah, he absolutely did, man. And I like a lot of these defensive highlights. I mean, check that arm out. Just
no doubt.
Absolute missile.
Yeah.
He's your. I think he. You know, if you go and you build a right fielder in MLB The Show, that's kind of a guy that you want him to look like. You know, with the strong arm, and I think he has quite a bit of pop at the plate.
Yeah.
Just a big old bulky guy. I mean, a good looking dude.
Yeah, you like how he took that pitch out low and away over the left field wall there?
That's special, man. That's not very many people can do that. I mean, that's just straight up impressive.
Yep. Valerie loves Pages and looks like he's growing tremendously as a fielder. Okay, so I've talked to Austin Chubb, who Austin Chubb managed Andy Pages. By the way, congratulations to Austin Chubb. He is going to be the director of the field operation for all the minor leagues in the Dodgers. He was the manager for Great Lakes last year, but he was Andy Pages' manager for the first 3 years. And Austin Chubb said, well, we played him in all three different outfield positions just to create to make him a little bit more dynamic, just to see what he can do. But Austin was very clear he is a corner outfielder, specifically a right fielder. So he's growing into that right field role. And I tell you what, man, as you see in these videos, he has an absolute bazooka, not a cannon, a bazooka for an arm. This dude can absolutely flat throw a baseball.
Yeah, man. The high school baseball coach in me wonders how hard he used to throw off the bump. I mean, because there's no way in the world you can tell me that he didn't used to pitch.
Yeah. Yeah, especially growing up.
Special arm talent.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And the thing about him, okay, so he hits a lot of fly balls. His K percentage was 24.5%. That probably needs to come down. His base on ball percentage was 10.9%. That's above average. So he needs to get those metrics, improved a little bit. Okay, so the base on ball percentage of 10.9 is above average, so that's not bad, but he needs to bring probably his K percentage down a little bit. His batting average on balls in play is 266, which is below average. Okay, but again, he had a little bit of a down year last year. His home run for fly ball rate, Chase, 14.9% last year, but it was 18.5% in 2021, and his home run for fly ball rate was 22.9% in 2019. The average for a major league hitter, check this out, 9.5%. Okay, so you're talking home run for fly ball rates that are over twice what the average major league level is.
Yeah,
that tells you he hits a lot of fly balls, and when he hits fly balls, he hits the ball hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I kind of harp on, is. I can't remember who we were talking about not too long ago, but tried to stop hitting the ball in the air, and you saw his numbers decrease.
That's Andy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just let him do what he's good at, man. Don't try to really. I mean, obviously there's always things to fix, but if it isn't completely broken, don't screw with it. I mean, he's been successful getting up to the level that he's at, and I'm sure you'll see him continue to improve. Good Lord, that arm is crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is. Okay, so for a major league hitter, all right, 9.5% is considered above average for a home run for fly ball rate. Okay, or above average is 12.5%. Great is 15%. Excellent is 20%. And last year he is 14.9%, which would be in between above average and great. Okay, and that was considered a down year for him a little bit. He was 18.5 again in 2021 and 22.9 in 2019. So that tells you right there, this guy, even in a year where he only hit 236, it tells you that this guy, I like that play. That just, hey, I got you, bro. Even in a year where, you consider maybe a little bit down here, he still showed from a metrical perspective, he is a big time power hitter that's going to hit a lot of home runs.
Yeah, and that I mean that's kind of the direction that baseball is going. So I think that a lot of people are going to like that. I'm curious to see, kind of the role that he'll play this coming year. I'm sure we'll see him in OKC at some point. Obviously, you'll see him in Tulsa. He's a kind of a guy that really gets me going, just because I really like the way he plays defense. I like the home runs and I like the ABs, but I really like the way that he plays defense. Kind of, again, another dirtbagger kind of guy. just with a really, I keep saying it, just an extremely impressive arm.
No doubt, no doubt. I've had a chance to talk to him too. Jesse Guffey, the Texas League Athletic Trainer of the Year, was our translator, and I can tell you this, and I also talked to Chubb about Andy Pages. Okay, he's one of those typical, international players where he has swag. He has a lot of swag. You notice when he plays, but he's humble. He knows he's good, but he doesn't flaunt it. Does that make sense to you? I mean, but he has a really cool style, but he's not arrogant. Does that make sense? So, Andy Pages, comparison to Eugenio Suarez from Yasiel Puig, I like that comparison. Maybe a Yasiel Puig type if he can build up his arm and agility. Of course, he has tremendous work ethic. He's a wonderful young man. He'll sign autographs forever. So I think, take the talent maybe and compare, but the off-the-field aspect of it, I know when Yasiel Puig came to Oklahoma City, he signed autographs for like one day or whatever and then didn't for the other days. So Yasiel Puig, what's kind of cool is that, this is for you, Chase, what's kind of cool is that the Dodgers signed Pages when they were in the $300,000 penalty after the 2015 international signings free-for-all. Yeah, I forgot about that. That's a great point. So, Pages is a big pickup, and he's a big prospect. Yeah,
man, he's a big-time dude. I think that, speaking about his character, you talk about the swagger and the things like that, but it comes at, sometimes that comes as an expense. And I think with him, it's more of a benefit. He's just kind of a
great point. Great point.
He knows that he's good, but he's not one of those guys where it's like, God, I can't stand to be around you.
No.
And everybody knows, kind of that guy that we're talking about. Not anybody specifically, but just
there aren't any in the Dodgers system, though. I will tell you that.
Yes.
Hey, you want to read the next one from Austin Brubaker?
Yeah, Chase? Absolute cannon of an arm, big time power, single season, an all-time home run leader for Great Lakes. His power will play anywhere if he keeps his. I'm sorry. Okay, there we go. If he keeps his ISO above his K percentage, watch out. Yep. Rooting for this guy. Absolutely.
Yep. Austin got a chance to see up close and personal probably about 65, 70 games of Andy Pages while he was at Great Lakes.
Yeah, I'm sure he put on an absolute show there. Obviously I didn't see him when he was there, but I've seen some of him in Tulsa. I keep saying it, he's a fun guy to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yep, no doubt. Of course, that year he is in Great Lakes, he led the entire minor league system for the Dodgers in home runs with 31. Now, Brandon Lewis actually led the minor league organization in home runs per at bat, but Andy Pages that year, no doubt. Austin Brubaker, big time power. I'm jealous you got to see him that year because he led all the Dodgers minor leagues in home runs in 2021. Okay, easy for me to say. Line drive percentage, 20.1%. 23.9% in 2021. The league average is right around 21%, so he's right there. Even on a year last year, we only hit 236. Again, you got to go past just the batting average nowadays. Okay, his home run per fly ball rate was better than league average. Okay, his line drive percentage was right on the major league average at 21.1%. Okay, so here's what you like, Chase. Ground ball percentage, he hits 28% ground balls, which the league average in ground balls is probably around 45%. So he hits about half the amount of ground balls that the average major league player will hit. That tells you how many fly balls he hits. Okay, so he hits 50.4% fly balls. The league average is 35%. So he hits almost twice as many ground balls as the league average, and he hits 15% more fly balls. And when he hits fly balls, okay, his fly ball for home run average is higher than the league average. That's why this dude has power. Did I make any sense with that? Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, no, it makes sense, and it's interesting. That statistic is really interesting to me, because I'm more of a ground ball line drive type of guy more than a fly ball type of guy, but he's one of the few that's able to make it work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt about it. And that's because, hey, it's not. We've had this conversation. It's not about hitting fly balls versus ground balls. It's about hitting hard contact. Hard contact gets you on base. So whatever it is the hitter does best to make the most amount of hard contact, that's what the hitter should do. There's that comparison between him and Jay Buhner. Again, I went over how I compare those two. Austin says he shows up in big moments as well, and I could not agree more with that. So I'm going to cut back over to us, and I'm going to change this camera back over to me, Chase, and we're going to get after this. We've got about 4 minutes left, okay, and we're going to have final thoughts. So, hey, we've had a good show tonight. We've had very good interaction from the crowd. We've talked a lot about David Peralta. We've talked about Alex Reyes, and we've talked about Andy Pages. So, sum it all up for me.
Real quick, Orlando just asked a question. He said, any possibility in the future Pages plays right and Mookie plays left? I don't know. I don't think so.
Or Mookie plays second base, or Mookie plays center, or
yeah.
I'll tell you this: I think Andy Pages is going to play right field.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe left field, but not center field.
No, I mean, like I said, he's your typical right fielder. I wouldn't say he's an absolute worm burner when it comes to running. But I mean, he gets the job done. He has that big arm with, he has that power too. Like I said, your typical right fielder. But back, I mean, just to cap everything off, I'm interested to see, like I said, what they do with Peralta during spring training. I'm interested to see what role he plays, what they have in mind for him. And I hope that we get to see Michael Busch get some opportunities. But I keep going back to spring training. I'm excited to see, the young guys. I'm excited to see Vargas. I'm excited to see Outman. I'm excited to see those guys and see how they perform. With their first, real taste of being with that big club.
Yeah. Alex Reyes was an all-star in 2021. Just a little bit on him. Lifetime ERA of 2.86. He has his strikeout per 9 innings is 10.99, so that's very good. He strikes out a lot of guys, but he walks too many guys too. His walks per 9 is 6. So six walks per 9 innings is you want to bring that down. His home runs per 9 inning almost at 1 at 0.74, and his batting average on balls in play is 257. He does have two different deals. Shoulder injury, which the Dodgers usually don't like. Okay, shoulders are tough. They don't mind the Tommy John. They don't like the shoulder. And he also had Tommy John in 2019. Of course, that was a while back. But, you're having shoulder deals now, Tommy John in 2019. So definitely out for at least a couple months. After a couple months, we'll see what he can do. 5 pitches, 4-seam he throws the most. He has a 4-seam and a 2-seam that are both around the mid-90s. He has a changeup that he throws every once in a while, and then a slider. So his best secondary pitch is a slider. So he's a 4-seam, 2-seam slider guy with an occasional changeup and a curveball. But again, going to be out for a couple of months with the shoulder and the Tommy John. Got about 30 seconds. Give me your final thoughts, Chase.
I'm just going to read one more question because it's a good one. Fernando said that the outfield's pretty crowded. Do you think that he'll really end up playing for the Dodgers, or could he be a trading chip? Yes. I don't really know. I think that that's a possibility. But at the end of the day, I think Casey and I can both agree that we want what's best for the player. Would love to see him in Dodger blue, but at the same time, he needs to get his shot, whether that be with us or whether that be with Philly or whoever. He needs to get his chance.
All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. Hey, fans, just a reminder, if you like this video and if you like this kind of content, go ahead and click that like button, leave a comment, tell all your friends about Dodgers Dogs so Dodgers Dogs can keep growing and Chase and I can keep providing you content like this in the future. As always, thanks for tuning in, fans, and go Dodgers.